give you my heart.
Today I am going to be talking about how it feels talking or just processing to talk with two types of disability. So I have cerebral palsy, specifically left side hemiplegia, and I've also got learning disabilities. So them two together sometimes does not work out in my favour. My brain processes words and everything like that differently than someone without a disability or with cerebral palsy. Everyone is different with cerebral palsy. My arm is the main thing that gets affected that you can notice, but I also do get muscle pain, and also it sometimes can make my speech not as good as some other days. But also, because of my learning disability, it takes me a while to sometimes think what I'm trying to say, on top of having a speech problem. Cerebral palsy is part of a speech problem because your muscles hurt, and also because I've got left side hemiplegia, half of my face is pretty much weaker than the other. It may not look like it, but that's what I mean by it mainly affects my hand, but it can be frustrating at times, and I just wanted to talk about it because I saw a comment on a video to do with cerebral palsy, and it was like how frustrating that must be to not be able to talk slower than your brain processes. And it's 100% annoying. It can be so frustrating sometimes. I talked about this in another video one time. It was things that has changed, or things I find difficult now that we're out of lockdown and we've been stuck in lockdown for ages, and especially the past couple of weeks, speech has been the main problem. I haven't suffered, if you watch that video I will link it in the description, but I haven't suffered as much muscle pain, but my speech has been frustrating me so much. It's hard to explain because I'm talking right now. I'm talking fine right now. But it's just simple words that I don't even notice till I say them. And I'm like, why can't I say them? Every single day is different. Or most days people can struggle with speech problems, with processing, and pretty much your brain trying to tell your mouth, let's say this, but the words won't come out, and it can be so annoying sometimes. Because with me, on top of my learning disability and cerebral palsy, I'm also processing what people mean. Because of my learning disability, some things I don't understand as quick as other people, or you will need to explain it in a different way, so that can affect my processing and sometimes my speech as well. If I'm like asking what does that mean, like what do you mean by this, my speech might get muddled up or something like that. I don't get this every single day, but since lockdown, or since we've came out of lockdown, it has been highly affected on me. Like, I used to, and I still do, I can't say bigger words, but it's also hard to explain what words. But whenever I struggle saying words in the moment, they are always big words. So a couple of things I want to talk about it is, I saw a couple of other questions on this video I found. I will link it in the description if I find it again. But one of the questions was like, do you have to talk slower so do we have to talk slower to make it fair or something? And no. I'm lucky enough that I don't really talk slow, I wouldn't say. But my speech problem more affects me in saying the word, not how slow I say it. So I'm lucky in that case. But everyone with cerebral palsy is different. Some can be more affected than other people, and some might only have mild cerebral palsy. That doesn't mean they won't get affected by speech. They won't get affected by the hand. Every single cerebral palsy or disability has a different symptom. Some people can have one symptom more than the other. So I've got a speech problem, I've got muscle pain, but the thing that you can notice more, and the thing that I needed to focus more on growing up and sorting it, even though you can't sort cerebral palsy, is my hand. But that doesn't mean my speech doesn't. I have trouble with my speech, that I don't have trouble with my speech, and that I don't have muscle pain. Everybody with cerebral palsy is different, and I just wanted to make this quick video to address that. Yes, it can be frustrating sometimes when you have cerebral palsy, especially to me when you have a learning disability as well, that your brain needs to process more things than the average person probably does. If someone's explaining something to me in that day, or I'm just having an off day that my brain isn't processing properly and it's taking longer for me to understand, I need to ask quite a lot, what do you mean by that? What do you mean? More than an average person. Like I said, this doesn't happen every single day, but it at least happens once or twice a week. If I'm having a good week on my brain and my speech, I won't need to say that. But most of the time it is if you're asking me a question, explaining something to me, or a story that you're telling me but I don't understand. That's when I'm like, what do you mean by that? Or if we're watching a TV show and I don't understand a bit of it, I would be like, what do they mean? So I do say that more than other people probably do. I don't know if any of you guys with cerebral palsy or a learning disability does say that to your family or friends, but I definitely do, and that can even be frustrating for me sometimes, because to me I'm like, I know I should know what you mean, but my brain just doesn't, and it gets frustrating because in the moment I think why is my brain doing this? Why can't I understand this simple thing that someone else could? You're explaining it in a good way, but I just can't process what you mean. And it's hard to explain how frustrating that is sometimes. They are the moments that honestly I am like, I wish I didn't have this. I wish I was normal, because I've only got mild cerebral palsy and a learning disability. I don't know if it's mild or high. I would say a mild learning disability as well. So it's not like I have full on, it's not that I can't walk, it's not that I walk with a limp. I walk to the side a bit like that, but that's all, and it's not like I have a massive big disability that you can notice. So I feel like that's why it frustrates me. Everybody's frustration is different, but that's why it frustrates me, because I'm like, two people watching this right now, I might not look like I've got a disability, I might not sound like I've got a disability, and I'm not saying I want to look like it or sound like it, but sometimes that's annoying as well, because it's like, I know I should know this but I don't, or I know I should be able to say this but my mouth is just not functioning. That's an example of me trying to say a word. Functioning of saying a word, it's like just not coming out properly. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this made sense. And if you did like it, give it a thumbs up. I like doing these like little questions I see over the internet, because even though it's a simple question, people do need to learn about it, and people do need to like understand that. For example, you might be frustrated that I'm not understanding what you mean, or you might be frustrated that I can't speak to you without slurring my words or like making mistakes. But honestly, it's as frustrating as it is for you, for me. Probably a little bit more, because I'm the one dealing with this and I can't do anything about it except from socialise more and talk more. But even then, sometimes that doesn't help, and that's the main thing that lockdown has gave me, is not being able to say specific words sometimes more than before lockdown. But I'll see you next time. Bye!